With no further ado, we're going to go to the first question. It's kind of a loaded question, but I figured it would really stimulate some discussion. And that question is, please discuss whether you feel breeders should be required to register their foals with DNA typing. What are the barriers and what are the benefits to doing that?
I am very strongly in favor of DNA testing, and I really want it to go further than that. I would like to see the USEF stop changing the names when a person buys a horse. That's the only way we're going to be able to track and keep track of where the horse is, how the horse is bred, how it's doing, who it gets sold to. So many issues are on the table with this problem. So, yes, I'm in favor of it.
I agree. I mean, it's very disappointing as a breeder to lose track of your horse as it gets sold and the name gets changed, and you know it's impossible to keep track with as large as the country as where the horses go. You know, the only downside of it is, you know, if you're breeding 20, 25 horses, the expense of DNA testing all of them can become a little significant, but I think the cost is not important as far as the long-range benefits of having a true database and being able to understand where all the horses came from, how they were developed, and actually know who's who by the time they're 5 years old is going to benefit us more in the long run.
Well, I'm in favor of, because in a lot of the discussions we've had have been centered around the need to be able to identify the horses that are in these age-specific classes, and how can we need firstly to be able to do that. I also feel that we need to be able to, as you guys have said, track their breeding, because if you look at the Europeans, they've done that very well, and to the extent that on most of the jumping orders that you see in the European classes, the horse's breeding is there, and I think we need to be able to start doing that as well in the United States, because the Europeans have demonstrated that there are strong jumping lines, and if we don't have DNA testing, how can we prove what that is?
I think that here in the States, as we have great people like yourself, there's quite a few that I see out here that are very into the breeding, and it's so new. I think that us having more open discussions here and with the Federation and with the USHJA, that we can take those issues that people are having in wherever they are in the country or with the young horses and try to solve those issues as a group. And I think that's my biggest thing right now, is it is new, the breeding for us in the show jumping here in the States, and I think the DNA is important. And I think that us as a group in this country need to work together to try and fix the issues that people don't have answers to because there was no system. And I think we're in a new system, a lot like the EAP and the trainer certification. These are all new developments for us, and I think that we're going to have to go through the process, and we're going to run into a few problems like that, and I think that we need to bring them to the table and try and work together to resolve those issues.
I would just definitely agree that I think the DNA typing is very important, because I've heard from so many people that they have such trouble keeping track of the horses that they breed. And I think it may be a little logistically difficult to prevent people from changing their horses' names, but I think certainly, like at the time of birth, all foals should get a lifelong number and get the DNA typing so that they can kind of be kept track of for the rest of their life, and the breeders can know what worked and what didn't.
Basically what you're hearing on this panel, Alex, everybody up here, Diane, you've all said the same thing. I've always thought in life you don't have to be very smart, but if you copy what a smart person does, that works just as well. Well, there's a good system over there. Let's just copy it. Now, yes, we have to adapt it to our country. We have geographical problems, but other than that, we've got a lot of potential that they don't have, and if it works over there, we should do it, and we'll figure out a way how to do it.
But I think what Europe is doing is requiring microchipping on all the young horses and all the breeds. That was my question. I'm going to spin back to those who are more expert about this than I. Is the question specifically was about DNA.
That's right.
Do any of the breeds, or are any of the breeds requiring DNA testing when they're
Oh,
horses?
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not wouldn't be an insurmountable problem.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, for the purpose of this discussion, I just wanted to get some kind of a consensus on how you all felt, and it's pretty clear, actually. For what we often hear in some of the breed committees and whatnot, it's a controversial issue. But here I have a panel of experts who have not been prompted, and who are telling us that we really think DNA typing and registration is an important factor. Go ahead, Alex.
I just want to add, when we do that, when we do the DNA testing, we might as well microchip them at the same time, because I mean, otherwise it's just a paper shuffle, and other than the real breeder, you're maybe not going to really know the difference. So I mean, I think get the DNA testing done. When they get registered, they get microchipped, and it's done.
One number,
right,
for the rest of their lives.
Correct.
Okay.
And if I can, Lisa,
Go ahead.
I think that it's important to realize that starting with DNA testing, starting with microchipping, all the way up through the system, through registering with the USEF, that it speaks to the integrity of our sport, to be able to know exactly who that horse is. And if, in fact, there is a name change along the way, there has to be a recording of that, so that when someone picks up, say, a mare that's proven herself in competition, a meter 35 mare, and you want to breed that mare, but her name is no longer the same as it was when she arrived here or when someone bred her here. Being able to find out who she is and tracking it back to her pedigree is extremely important. It also is important to remember that it keeps our business legitimate by being able to say what horse and what he's done all through his life. So I think it's more than just DNA chipping. I think it's about the integrity of our sport.